introduce you to your Illinois State Comptroller, Comptroller Mendeza.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Amy. I do want to welcome you to our tent. I personally believe it's the coolest tent in the entire state fair. It's the best location, bar none, and we hope that you enjoy your time when you're with us. I do want to thank all of you for taking time out of your very, very busy schedules to join us as we recognize and honor some of the best police officers Springfield has to offer. My brother, Joaquin, is a Chicago police detective sergeant, and through him, I have witnessed the commitment that police have to their profession. Late nights and early mornings, missed family events, so much stress, and too often work that is absolutely thankless, all to protect and serve. Well, today we're taking time to pause for a moment and say thank you. I know accolades are not why you got into this line of work. There are professions where that comes way easier, much easier, I know that, but your work is truly valued. Today, we will recognize distinguished Springfield Police Department officers and give them certificates of appreciation. I will share some words about them, and then I will welcome them to the front and invite them to speak if they so choose. First, let's start with Officer Taylor Sullivan. On March 20th, 2022, Officer Sullivan responded to a call about an armed suicidal juvenile. The 13-year-old girl was home in her kitchen with a knife. Officer Sullivan used a calm, nurturing tone with her and was able to get the girl to cooperate without harming herself or anyone else. The verbal de-escalation skills Officer Sullivan used convinced the girl to disarm herself and slide the knife away so it could be secured by officers. Officer Sullivan was calm, patient, and empathetic. Thank you, Officer Sullivan, for your dedication, compassion, and professionalism. Your actions displayed your desire to help and care for those who are most vulnerable. In doing so, you saved a young person's life. Officer Sullivan is a neighborhood police officer and has been with the Springfield Police Department for 5.5 years. Officer Sullivan is with us now, right here to my right. And would you please accept this certificate of appreciation on behalf of my office?
Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Sullivan. Would you like to share a few words? I should not have said if they would like to, because you never want to, and really, I would love if you would. So if you change your mind before the end of this, please come on up, because I think it's important for people to hear from our heroes. You know, you guys are always truly the unsung heroes, and I know that a certificate is, you know, just pales in comparison to the thank you that you deserve, but really appreciate your work. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to have Sergeant Stephen Termine, who is a key part of the department's partnership with Memorial Behavioral Health to help get those in need connected with social services. In the fall of last year, a man left treatment for substance abuse at Gateway and ended up spending some time in Tent City. The man knew he needed help and began to walk toward the police department when luckily he came across Sergeant Termine. The man's grandmother reached out to the police department to share her thanks for Officer Termine helping her grandson who was in need. Sergeant Termine stayed in touch with the man and treated him with dignity and respect. The man says, "You saved his life." As a neighborhood police officer who regularly partners with Memorial Behavioral Health, you help people through their ongoing struggles, Sergeant Termine. You became an important part of their support system, often working with their loved ones and family members to coordinate their care. You continue to show dedication, compassion, and professionalism. Thank you for a job incredibly well done, Sergeant Termine. Your work shows us that being a police officer is not only about law enforcement, but about meeting people in their time of need and helping them not only through an urgent crisis, but through their ongoing day-to-day challenges. Sergeant Termine, he's with me to my left right now, but I'd offer you to please accept this certificate of appreciation on behalf of my office. to be honored is Officer Timothy Day. On April 17th, 2022, Officer Day responded to a call about a suicidal subject who had reported to her friends that she was going to kill herself. Although her address was unknown, Officer Day was able to locate an address for the woman. At that time, dispatch received a call from a neighbor saying the woman was tying a rope to a garage to hang herself. Knowing that she was in imminent danger, Officer Day forced entry into the house and saved her life. Because of the use of your investigative skills and quick thinking, this woman and the entire city are indebted to you. Thank you, Officer Day, for your embodiment of courage and public service. Officer Timothy Day is standing to my left, and we would offer a suggestion to please accept this certificate on behalf of my office and the state of Illinois. Our next honoree is Detective Daniel Wiese.
Wiese.
Oh, is it Wiese? Okay, well, thank you. You're fired, Amy. I'm kidding. No, she's wonderful. Officer Wiese. Last August, a woman was hit by a car while walking her dog near Washington Park. Dusty Rhodes was seriously injured while crossing the street and was transported to the HSHS St. John's Hospital for treatment. Some of you may have read about this. It was extensively covered. Now, Rhodes required surgery for her injuries at the time. Her dog, Rosie, a beautiful and loving rescue Shar-Pei, was tragically killed by the impact. The driver fled the scene. This hit and run was covered widely by news media and garnered much concern from the people of Springfield. Now, these kinds of cases can be exceedingly difficult to solve. Detective Wiese, correct? Yes, got it, was assigned to the case and immediately got to work fielding tips and analyzed surveillance, recorded surveillance video at the time. Now, because of your dedication to this case and relentless investigation, the suspect was apprehended and arrested. This arrest led to a search warrant at the suspect's residence where documents were located indicating that the Porsche being driven around during the hit and run had been fixed after the accident in the St. Louis area. The suspect not only faces multiple charges pertaining to the hit and run, but also firearms and narcotics charges. Detective Wiese, your persistence paid off. While nothing can be done to bring back Rosie, and while Dusty Rhodes will have scars, physical and otherwise, for the rest of her life, you got what appears to be an incredibly dangerous and violent person off of the streets. Thank you. Thank you for your dedication and your collaboration, working with other officers and staying in close contact with the victim. Thank you for not giving up on Rusty or Rosie. And I know that there is someone here today who would also like to say a few words. Dusty Rhodes is an exceedingly brave woman, a former news reporter who has shared her story and refused to be a silent victim in seeking justice for herself and the loss of her best friend, Rosie. Dusty, thank you so much for being here today, and would you please join us to say a few words? Is she here? Oh, there she is. I got it.
I wrote some. Okay. Thank you for giving me the chance to say a few words about Detective Wiese. It's kind of difficult because I have a lot of respect and gratitude for this man, but I also know him well enough to know that compliments make him extremely uncomfortable. Every time I try to say thanks, he's like, I'm just doing my job, or I'm glad it worked out. It worked out because you worked the case. This was a weird case because it was caught on video, and it made this perfect little clip that TV news would play over and over as, you know, just the right size, and it was very exciting. I kind of flew through the air, Rosie, not so much. And because the car was a Porsche, and people were like, come on, how many of those could there be in Springfield? Well, he knows because he has a complete list of every Porsche in Springfield. And he was pretty quickly able to determine who was driving the one that hit me and Rosie, but proving who it was more of an adventure. It wouldn't make for a good episode of Law and Order. It was not neat and tidy. Probably one thing that helped was his good relationship with the community and with his colleagues. It's kind of easy to underestimate the importance of those relationships, but one thing I know about you guys is you can't take that for granted. And so I'm lucky that Detective Wiese could go chat with the street crimes unit, and they were happy to help him out. He told me several times Officer Colton Redding was very important to solving this case, and so I know he would want me to say it now. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And honestly, when street crimes arrested this guy, that's when he could have stopped. He could have very easily said, you know, we got the guy off the streets. He's not going to get out for a while, it looks like, and that's really all that matters. But he kept working and gathered enough little shards of evidence to make a pretty clear mosaic to take to the prosecutor. And that's the part he calls typing. He says, I have to do a lot of typing. He doesn't like typing. Or compliments, typing and compliments. So we still don't ultimately know what will happen. It's in the hands of the court system now, but it worked out. Tomorrow happens to be the 1-year anniversary of this crime, and I've just recently realized that being a crime victim puts you in a kind of weird purgatory. It's like you're on hold and you're waiting to see whether or not you'll get justice. And I can't explain how helpful it's been to have this guy there for me. But that's kind of getting close to the line of giving him a compliment, and I don't want him to like break out in a rash or anything, so I'll stop. Thank you for putting up with me for a year.
Well, we'll have Detective Wiese accept this award on behalf of my office and the people of the state of Illinois. And would you like to say a few words?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, awesome.
I want to say thank you for this award and for giving my fellow officers the awards. We greatly appreciate it. Dusty, thank you very much for the kind words. I want to thank everybody that helped on this investigation. It definitely wasn't just me. I had a lot of people helping. I want to thank my wife and my boys, and then all my family that's here, and my friends that are like family that are here. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. And that's so great that you got up and said something, especially since you don't like compliments, and we're giving you lots of them today. But Officer Day, would you like to come up and say a few words? I'm sorry, I got so excited about the next honoree that I didn't give you your proper justice, so please come up.
First, I want to say thank you for the award. As with Detective Wiese, I really don't like compliments. I didn't get in this business to get compliments or awards. The true hero here, in my opinion, is the little girl's, my victim's friend, who took her friend's messages seriously, contacted 911, and put the people in place to be there, to have legal authority to force entry into the home to save this young lady's life. So often, more often than we like to happen, that it doesn't happen, or someone doesn't take it seriously. So I just did my job. The true hero here is the young lady who took her friend's messages seriously and contacted the police. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Officer Termine is, yeah, there you are. Hold on. I don't think I offered you an opportunity to speak, and I'd love for you to have it. Please, come on up. Thanks. I'm sorry. Where'd you go?
Thank you again for this award as well. Since this event, I've since retired from the police department after 26 years. I worked with some of the best fellow brothers and sisters in law enforcement over my career. Again, as Officer Day said, in my case, the younger gentleman that I helped, was a heroin addict and had 2 boys, and lost touch with all of his family because of his addiction. And it's a disease. And I have kept in touch with them just recently. As a matter of fact, about the day before I got asked to be here, his grandmother reached out to me, sent me a text message that he's almost a year clean, reconnected with his 2 young sons and his family as well. I mean, to me, that's his boys are going to reap from this benefit, and he did all the hard work. We just kind of help people along the way. That's our job, and we don't expect anything for it. Again, we do it because we love the job, and hopefully we can make a difference. And it's nice to know, because a lot of times the only feedback we get is all the negative feedback, because we see people at their worst time. And it's nice to see the end of some of these things that happen that have a great turnout and a positive impact on people. I think that just drives us to do this job as we do and give 100% each and every day. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sergeant Termine. And I'm going to give Officer Sullivan another chance to come on up. She's like, no, it's not going to happen. Well, I will tell you that it's interesting that some of these stories today, they center around addiction, right, which is a problem. It's a disease. So any issues that this gentleman might have had with the police probably centered around his addiction. And here in the state of Illinois, as controller, my job is to manage all of the state's finances and report back to you folks about whether or not we're doing a good job managing those finances, which thankfully we are right now. But I can also tell you that it's important to realize how we're spending taxpayer dollars and where we're investing and where we need to invest more or invest less. And I would argue that investing taxpayer dollars in things like substance abuse programs have a wonderful return on investment. And you'll hear people who say, well, I don't want my money going to the negative term, junkie. But let me just say that if that's your attitude about it, I'm going to just be honest with you, your money is going to that. Because my question to you would be, would you rather I take $1 out of your pocket when you're watching to put it towards substance abuse treatment and get a person to become a productive member of society? Might not happen on the first shot or the second or even the third, but it happens with enough trying. But it's infinitely cheaper than taking $14 out of your wallet when you're not watching to put it into the correctional system, which is what we have to do with these specific type of individuals. So for every $1 that we put towards substance abuse treatment programs in Illinois, we're actually saving 14 on the correctional side. So that person could literally fall off the bandwagon 13 times, and it would still be a better investment than just putting it on the first shot towards incarceration. So, I think the issue of investing where we're doing both the morally correct thing of helping that individual that you work with, Sergeant Termine, to get clean and then eventually become a productive tax-paying member of society is a better return on investment of taxpayer dollars than just giving up on them on go number one. So I think it feels good to know that we have officers like you that are looking beyond just the scruffy, disheveled appearance and saying, what can I do to help? And in a way, you saved that person's life that day as well. So thank you for that. And to the officers that have dealt with things like suicide, we're seeing a lot of that these days, and not just with the kids that you're going to service or the adults who are at their wits' end and don't feel that there's another out. Mental illness is a real issue here, not just in the state of Illinois, but across the country. And so your ability to partner with these hospitals and mental health centers to provide these services to people who are in need of them are truly life-saving. And it's also an issue that's very prevalent with the police itself. And so I would say to every police officer here who struggles and feels that it's your job to be tough and to not show emotion, that is absolutely human, and it's impossible to do your job and not feel those type of emotions. And so please do not see it as a sign of weakness to seek mental health treatment, to talk to someone, to not keep these emotions bottled up, because the last thing I want to read about is another story about a police officer who ended their own life because they didn't talk to someone beforehand to stop that from happening. So we stand with you, and I want to thank the officers who were brave enough, like Officer Sullivan, to use her demeanor and her composure and her empathy to help a young person have another chance at life. But we want to do that for you as well as officers. So thank you for your service. Now, when it comes to policing, these are the stories that we should be highlighting. Stories of compassion, stories of professionalism, and stories of meeting someone on their worst day and helping them toward a better resolution than they would have had otherwise. Those are the stories we heard today. And again, I thank you all deeply for your service, and I commend you all for all that you do to protect those in great need in the state of Illinois. And I want to share with you some fresh news out of my office this week. Brand new, hot off the presses. We are championing a bill that will ensure that there is continuous funding available for Gold Star families. Now, this is not a family or a club that anyone ever wants to join, but it is a reality of life. The Gold Star families are the families that are made up of the families of fallen officers in the line of duty. Now, at the Police Officer Memorial this year here in Springfield in May, I heard directly from the Pierce family, who tragically lost their son Brian just exactly over a year ago, of the Brooklyn Police Department in Southern Illinois last year. Now, Brian was killed by a fleeing suspect in August. Terrible, tragic. This officer had wanted to be a police officer from the moment he was born. And I am not exaggerating. I've been to the Pierce family home, which, like all Gold Star families, have an entire portion, their entire living room is literally dedicated to the memory of their son. But you could see police officer certificates from when he was like 6 and 7 years old doing things with the police. It's all he ever wanted to do. So it was absolutely terrible and tragic that we would lose someone like that. Then later that year, just days before Christmas, Brian's parents' home was burnt down in an electrical fire, like things you couldn't think could get worse. Brian wasn't married, and he didn't have any kids, so his parents were his world. And when he was only 24 is when his end of watch happened. So his parents were his next of kin and were owed the benefits through the Line of Duty Compensation Act. But when I met them this May, so this happened in December, they still hadn't received a penny from the state of Illinois. And to put things in perspective, my oldest bill today is 14 days old. I don't have a bill older than 14 days old. So when I met them in May and they told me that they still hadn't received a penny, the obvious question for me was, well, why not? That doesn't make any sense because I've paid every bill that I owe. But I want to learn why. And so I asked them to stick around after the ceremony so they could inform me as to what was going on with them. And I asked if there were any other Gold Star families in a similar situation and found out that there were. And so Tammy, Brian's mom, was especially worried about the spouses and the children left waiting on these benefits after the breadwinner of their family was tragically killed in the line of duty. Now currently, if the appropriation for these benefits run out, families must wait on the legislature to approve a supplemental appropriation. Now, I don't know of an instance where that supplemental appropriation would not be approved for fallen officers, but it should not have to wait for the session to reconvene to approve, because the only reason that an appropriation is not sufficient is because more officers actually died in the line of duty than what the state anticipated would be the case. Think about that. That means that last year we had too many officers besides those that would be accounted for, like predicted would fall in the line of duty. We wish the number were 0, but tragically we know it's not. But there was a $5 million appropriation and it was not enough. So this bill that was just filed this week by State Representative Dave Vella, who we've asked to sponsor this legislation for us, he's wonderful. It's House Bill 5785. It will ensure that there is a continuing line of appropriations forevermore always available. Each day, police, Firemen and paramedics risk their lives to protect the rest of us. They sacrifice their own safety for the greater good. The state should never, ever falter in promptly providing the families left behind with the benefits that they have been promised and that they deserve. We can't bring back the people these families loved most in the world, but we can support these families through their loss and show them through our actions, not our words, that the lives of the fallen were valued and will be honored. So I'm very proud to tell you that thanks to that conversation and that moment with that mother, her son's legacy lives on. And every future family, we hope there are 0, but we already know that we've seen fallen officers since that memorial. But forevermore, after this bill becomes law, at least one less thing that they'll have to worry about. And they can try to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives sooner rather than later. So we want everyone in the first responder community, families, co-workers, survivors, everyone to feel supported. Detective Daniel Wiese, Officer Timothy Day, Sergeant Stephen Termine, Officer Taylor Sullivan, the quiet one. Thank you for serving as such strong examples of what it means to be a wonderful police officer, for what it means to be a true hero. Thank you all again for being here today, all of you, the family, the friends, the members of the press, for helping us recognize these exemplary, awesome, distinguished officers. May you have many more years of continued success in serving the people of our great state. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you, and may God bless you and keep you safe. Let's go get a corn dog. All right.